I think that's a great place to start. We were so proud to premiere The Shawshank Redemption in 1994 at our festival, but it kind of tanked when it went into release, right? Can you tell us about that story and then how, of course, it became one of the most popular films of all time?
Yeah, okay. I can tell you something else, actually. Yeah, the film tanked.
I think there wasn't a lot of publicity either. There wasn't a lot of backing for it. So why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because I was just going to say then I was fired off my next job.
Oh,
and then I was fired off the job after that. And I thought, that's it, end of my career. And then I was nominated at the Academy Awards, and it won at the ASC, right? But at that point, I was in Minnesota shooting Fargo with Joel and Ethan, so life kind of is interesting.
Yes, the ups and downs. Why do you think, you worked on the film for many months, I'm sure, and you were part of its creation. What was that like as you were making it? Did you know that it would turn into this kind of film? Did you have any idea at all?
I think, to be honest, I think the shoot was a little chaotic, and the script was quite long. It was a beautiful script. I mean, Frank had written, I nearly said, because I'm not a big fan of Stephen King horror movies and stuff, and I didn't know what to expect. And James read it and said, no, you've got to read it. And it was a brilliant script, but it was quite long. And it was Frank's first film of a big scale, and it was quite slow. What was happening was quite slow, and there was pressure to sort of either shoot quicker or cut stuff. So it was a little, it wasn't the easiest shoot to start off.
It actually is incredibly well cut too, because there were big pauses in the middle of lines and things like that as we were shooting, but the editor did a really great job on it.
James, you were the script supervisor on the film?
Interestingly enough, Frank asked me to be the script super, and I said okay. And then a couple of weeks beforehand, we found out that the producer decided married people shouldn't work together. So I took another film, and Frank thought I just bailed on him. But then in the end, and then I started coming to set, so I knew it very well. And then in the end, the script had to leave, so I just took over because I knew everybody and I knew the story and everything.
Okay.
So yes, I was for part of it. But.
Okay. And for those who don't know what that role is on a film set, can you talk about what that job requires?
Patience and memory.
You're keeping the whole team, including the director, on track according to the script.
Right. What I liked about it is you had the whole movie in your head, and so if you shot something 3 months ago and then you're shooting the scene that happens either before or right afterwards 3 months later, you remember not only what they were wearing, but also were they walking quickly and angrily or something, what was the mood of the character. And then you're also the liaison with the editor and telling them, well, we redid this take because we didn't like this line on the other take. So just so the editor, as if the editor were on set and knew what was going on.
But to go back to your question, yes, I did know it was going to be a good film because Morgan and Tim were so good. And I think they had doubts. Quite honestly, did have doubts. I remember being in a bar one night and them saying, well, we're not sure, how is the film? And I said, this is going to be a great movie. I said it to them in the bar.
They were both not sure?
They were unsure, yeah. And it's interesting because, this was before there was playback and stuff, So basically I was looking through the camera and people were waiting for dailies and everything else, but it was a kind of, you just see those performances were so great.
We're going to have some time for your questions. There's just one more thing I want to ask, and it's about the visual plan for the film. So please get your questions ready. The way that the color palette, the blues and the grays when they're in the prison, and then also the composition, which really kind of closes in on them. It really gives you this sense that you're with these characters in prison over the whole duration for most of the film. How were you and Frank Darabont thinking about how you would convey what the story and the setting meant visually?
Well, I think most of it happened really just when we were walking through the locations and stuff. You know, I mean, the most major choice was finding that prison in Ohio, Mansfield, Ohio, and then breaking down. I mean, I don't know if everybody knows it, but the main bullpen area of the cell block is a set that's built in a warehouse, and most else is shot on location, but the real prison didn't suit the scenes which needed that sort of bullpen area. So a lot of it, I mean, it's always you're looking at locations and discussing things, but also we did storyboard quite a lot. Nowhere near all of it. I kind of think there's a book of storyboards, but we never had all that before we started shooting. Sometimes they do that, but and I remember one scene we spent a long time storyboarding, which was in the bullpen, which was the guard throws a prisoner off the top rail. That was part of the set. But we storyboarded this whole scene, and that was one of the first scenes to go, which I think is quite good because you know it happens off camera, and it's kind of almost more chilling because of it. So you know, yeah, I'm just rambling, but the whole feel of it just does come from all those different elements: storyboarding, location scouting, just general discussions in the office, you know.
Thank you. All right, we already have someone over here with a question. Do we have microphones?
Pretty loud.
Microphone's right behind you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I have a lot of questions, but I focus on the helicopter scene, which starts after the credits on the bus, flies over the prison, and comes back to the bus. My first question is, how many people were in the helicopter other than the pilot? Second of all, how many takes did it take? And third, do you have any interesting stories about that?
I think that was kind of storyboarded, but there was a less worked out shot. I mean, as far as I understand, it was just the operator and the pilot. I mean, I wasn't there. Frank and I were watching playback when the helicopter landed, and they had a little, tape that they play the shot back. It was done on the equivalent of the Westcam gyro system, but it was called something else, but it's basically the same system, I think. And I remember it raining, and that was going to screw the whole thing up, but it did give a really nice feel to the shot. And I remember seeing one take and asking if the helicopter could start really low behind the bus, because then you wouldn't think it was a helicopter shot, and then that reveal would be stronger. And then Frank and I looked at it, and at the end, the helicopter was going around to find the bus again, and there was the art department had put up a flag, and I thought, well, can't we get near the flag, because isn't it nice to go past it was so little things like that sort of evolved. But I think there was only maybe 2 or 3 shots, probably. Not more, I don't think.
Great, thank you.